Welcome back to Diving into Watches, and we've got a really good review for you today. When it comes to the world of military watches, there's a certain number of them that stand out that come instantly to mind. Now, the ones that come to mind for me may be different from one to you, but as many as you know, I'm retired military, 21 years in the Army, so my background with watches may be a little bit different than yours from what I've seen in my deployments in my time. But the bulk of the military watches that I have seen in my time have been G-Shock, Seiko, Citizen, Tudor, Rolex, and Marathon. And then there's some few outliers that are really good name brands that roll in the special ops community besides the Tudor and the Rolex, and that would be Sangen watches. Those are another military themed, not military themed, but owned by a military Marine Convet company, and it's starting to make waves and kind of movement in that community. And it's kind of those watches that if you're in the know, you know what that watch is. But when it comes to the average everyday watches, depending on the branch and what community you're in, be it special ops community, civil affairs community, psyops, infantry, whatever, there's just certain watches that stand out to a lot of them. And the watch they're going to be reviewing today, as you can see it over my left shoulder here, is a watch by Marathon. It's their Navigator series, but it was one that was specifically built for the IDF, Israeli Defense Force, their Special Forces Unit 217, known as, I have a hard time pronouncing this one, known as the Duvdevan, Duvdevan unit. And you've also might have seen them in, there's a series on, I can't remember if it's Netflix or HBO, but it's called Fauda. And the watch, you can see it on also in that episode. But it was purpose built, officially issued to that unit in the IDF. And I picked up one as I am big into military watches and military horology, history of the watches and watches they used in different reasons why. So we're going to be taking a look at this specific watch, the key features of it, the things I love about it, a couple things I don't like about it. But when it comes to true specific built military purpose built watches, Marathon is probably one of the top ones out there when it comes for purpose built specifically for the military to be used, now being used by obviously first responders, police forces, and firemen. But these were purpose built in this particular series. The Navigator was specifically built for the Air Force back at Kelly Air Force Base in 1986, the Navigator series. And the line for Marathon has grown. But we're going to take a look at this one and what makes it unique, not only the horology of it, but just what makes it unique and separate from the other Navigators you can get. And why they use the materials they did, and it makes sense when you see it. And it is really a cool watch. I really enjoy the watch. I'm loving it. It is one of my few quartz watches I have, because it is a quartz watch, and I kind of feel about quartz watches and military watches. But I understand why people also wear quartz watches too. So I mean, I'm not saying it's good or bad that's quartz. I would have loved it as an automatic, but obviously that affects the price point. And when you're mass producing watches to be issued to a military unit or a specific branch of the military, you also have to look at obviously the costs of doing so. And you can see that with the materials that went into this, why they used them, etc. So without further ado, let's go over to the bench and let's take a look at the IDF Unit 217 Special Forces specific built Navigator. And let's get into what makes it so great and some things that I didn't like about it. But overall, I think it's a winner. But let's go take a look at it right now. Okay, so here we are taking a look at the Marathon Navigator built specifically for IDF Unit 217, their Special Forces Commando Unit, Duvdevan, I think that's how you pronounce it. When you first look at this watch, some of the things that immediately stand out, obviously, is the flat dark earth color, and you can see the official logo of the IDF Unit 217. I'm just going to zoom in just a little bit more here. 217, you're going to see the date, and then you're also going to see the little the nuclear symbol there. That's because this watch, like all marathons, uses tritium tubes. Each of the hands and the indices are all tritium tubed, and the 12 o'clock tritium tubed, and then there's a lume at I believe it is a little tiny tritium tube right in there at the very top. It's not a lume, it's an actual tritium tube in there. It just stands out. And then the other thing compared to all the other navigators is the seconds hand is red tipped, where all the other navigators are not red tipped. So that makes it really cool. And then it is branded for the unit. So before we get into some of the other specifics, let's just get some of the basic dimensions out of the way. It is 41 millimeters is the case width. Lug to lug is 20 millimeters. Case thickness is 13 millimeters. Even with that little NATO strap through there, it's very, very comfortable and not too wide. And then the lug to lug is 48 millimeters. So overall dimensions for this watch fit very comfortably on the wrist, and they're going to fit almost all wrists very, very well. And I think with those case dimensions, they kind of want those dimensions because you're going to have all different sizes of wrist sizes in a military unit. So you're going to have to find something that fits uniquely to all of them. The bezel is unidirectional, so it goes both direction, and it's a friction hold. It goes it does have clicks. You can feel the clicks in it, but it's a unidirectional bezel, so you can go. I'm sorry, bidirectional bezel, so you can go both directions. The crown guard. What's unique about the Navigator is the crown guard on the right, on the picture here on the right side of the case, which is actually the left side of the case. Well, not the right side of the case, it's on the wrist. It's much wider, so it's a larger crown guard buildup than what you would see on typical watches, where it's just around the crown. It is a quartz movement. It is a ETA high torque movement. The movement is a high torque F06 movement that they use. It has a 4-year battery life, and when the battery life goes low, it has an EOL, or end of life indicator, and the seconds hand will jump 4 seconds at a time, letting you know there's time to change the battery. So you've got a good lifespan on this battery. It is a fixed, the case is a composite fiber case, so it is not metal, so it is very lightweight. But the reason they want the composite fiber case is that they can stamp them, they can make them very affordably, and they're very, very durable, and they can take a lot of beating, and it's not going to cost a lot to fix or repair them. They're almost, in a sense, not 100% disposable, but it keeps the production costs considerably down. It is a sapphire crystal. It is not a hardlex case or a plastic cover case. Glass. It is a sapphire crystal, so you get that high glass resistance on there. It does have the date at between the 4 and the 5 o'clock on there. I know some of the Navigators you can get without the date, but this one here for the IDF, they did specifically want the date on there. And then on the back, you can see where they have the unscrew part so that you can get to the battery. And then there's some basic information when it goes over the different unit, the different the supply numbers you can use so the military units can order them, and it gives you some basic information about the watch and the mil spec information, etc. The crown is a screw down crown. So I'm sorry, it is not a screw down crown. So some people may not like that, but that's not a huge deal. It's not a screw down crown, but you pull it out to the first position, sets the date, pull it out to the second position, and you're going to set the time. It is 60 meters or 195 feet of water depth. Now, some people will have an issue with it being 60 meters, saying that's not deep enough for a dive watch. That's not good enough, especially for a military watch. But again, folks, the IDF guys, even the divers that they'll be using, they're not going 200 feet in the water. Usually the divers are going low entry entrance to the beaches and stuff like that. So even 195 feet is really, really deep. So, if you're scuba diving 80, 90 feet, this watch is going to work just fine, and it's going to hold up and perform just as you need it to do. You have 2 strap options when you get it. One is a ballistic nylon strap, and another one is just a standard, NATO's not the right strap, ballistic nylon strap, and then there's just another NATO type strap. I don't know what the different material is. You can order it with this little compass option that comes on it. This just slides on and off. It's pretty cool. I've seen plenty of guys in the military who wear this compass on their watch, and I've seen a lot that don't. I've worn it with it on. I've worn it with it off. It's not uncomfortable. You'll see when I do the wrist shot, I'll do it with it on, with it off. So there's no issues there. I think it's kind of a cool little feature. This bezel does glow, so you can also set, you can turn the bezel and set the direction you want to be, keep your direction which you want to go in navigating on it. So that is a nice feature. The back is bead blasted. You can see the production marks on where the case was pressed together, not pressed together, but where it was molded and injected. This particular one, you can see here, it looks like it's been cut. It is. when you'll see what's on my wrist, it was like a typical NATO. It goes over and folds back over. And you know me, I just not a big fan of NATO, so that I cut it so that when it's on my wrist, it sits just like this. It's going to fold in just nicely like that. And I don't have this double backed material on there, which I just do not like. You got a black PVD buckle on it, and then this is sewn on fixed holder for the strap. So overall, I think it's really good. One of the things that I'm not a big fan of is it's fixed lugged. So these are permanently in there. They do not come out. So you're going to have to use a NATO style strap with this watch, unless you go ahead and pull those out and then you put in a 20 millimeter quick release lugs. Then you could put different straps on or quick release straps, but it does come permanently attached, permanently fixed with these, and you can see it right here. They're permanently fixed in the case, so they're not going to come out. So that could be a con for some people. That could be not a big issue. For me, it's not a big issue in the sense that I trimmed this down to fit perfectly. Now in the beginning, I didn't really like that because it limited for me putting it on a rubber strap, which I really like rubber. It limited my strap options, but now that I've actually trimmed this down to fit correctly and more comfortably, it's not bothering me. If it bothers me down the road, I can always cut these out and then put in obviously a different spring bar for each one, so that I can put a rubber strap or different straps that I want to So again, not a huge one. Other than that, my only other complaint, and it's not really a complaint, is I'm not a big fan of quartz. I like the sweep movements of automatic watches, but I'm okay with it. Automatic has its purpose. For your battery life, this is not going to use a lot of juice, so you're going to get this to go a long time, unlike some watches that die really quickly. I think it's a cool watch. The history of it, the horology of it, built specifically for the IDF, I think is a cool little feature. I would encourage you to go on their website and take a look at it. Either you're a fan of this style watch, this Navigator style watch by Marathon, or you're not. I don't know if there's like in between. I think it's kind of one of those ones you like it or you don't. I did not like the black ones, but this OD flat dark earth one, I do like it. I do like the style. I do like the size. I know some of the other Navigators, the complaint was the case size is only like 36 millimeters, and that's just way too small. This one is a nice size of 41 millimeters. So let me go ahead and get this on, and we'll do a wristwatch check. I mean, we'll see how it looks like on the wrist. We'll also do a lume check because of tritium, there is no lume. These are always shining 24/7. And then we'll do a wristwatch check. I will not be doing a time grapher on it because obviously it's a quartz, so it's going to be accurate to within so many seconds a month, and there's just no reason that it's not going to come up on a time grapher. But before I do that, my wristwatch check, I am wearing the Seiko Solar Arnie, and I have it on my NDC strap. I absolutely love this strap. I've had the strap for a long time, but I just could not find the right watch for it. And you may have seen it on other watches, but I finally found the right home for it. I wasn't sure if I was going to like this Arnie or not, but I got it because I wanted to do a review on it, and then I was going to send it back if I wasn't happy with it. But I actually really fell in love with this one. I've been wearing this one for the past 2 weeks, and I have not taken it off. So the honeymoon phase is not over yet. I'm very, very happy with this one. I will be doing a review on this one and the tan cased NATO that an Army buddy of mine has. So I'll show you side by side. They're basically the same one, but you can get this in a tan case or this black case. And I also have seen them in Pepsi and a few other colors, but I wanted the one that was as close to Arnie and Predator, get to the chopper as close as possible to the original. So I went with this black one, and I have not been unhappy about it. So I will definitely stay tuned for that in the future. We'll be doing a review on that one. But let me go ahead and pop the Navigator on, and I'll show it to you with the compass on it and the compass without it, and then we'll do a lume check. Okay, here it is on my 6 1/4 inch wrist with the compass on it. I've noticed that it can feel kind of bulky with it on the side. I've been wearing it with the compass and without the compass. I've been wearing it here. But one of the places I like to wear it, the compass, and it's actually comfortable, is I slide it down here, because it actually made kind of more sense that if you're patrolling and you have your weapon and you got it on your hand, whether you be right-handed or left-handed, it's going to be more in line with when you're moving. You can quickly just glance down at it versus, it would make sense up here. It just, when I was messing around with it and I was holding my AR and stuff and doing some different things with it and kind of manipulating, because I've never worn a compass on it, I actually liked it down here in this position. And I noticed that when my hand is down here, It's not. I'm not hitting it. It's actually still very, very comfortable. Um, my wife hates it. She absolutely hates the compass. She thinks it's the stupidest looking thing she'd ever seen. So there you go. The wife liked the watch. She likes the history of the watch. But as far as though as the compass on it, she thinks it's the stupidest thing. She says it looks like it came out of a tricks box, and I had to giggle. But you either are the fan of it or you're not. I'll go ahead and pull it off real quick so you can see what it's like without it on. There it goes. So there it is without the compass on it. I'll move the compass out of the way. You can see it work. It fits very comfortably. This band is very comfortable. Is not scratchy. It's not bothering. I actually have I had a little bit looser when I have the compass on. I could tighten it up one more spot there. But you can see where I cut down the NATO part and fix the end so that it goes through just nicely, and I don't have to deal with that extra foldback. I just don't like that extra material folding off. But you can see it sits on my 6 1/4 just fine. There's no issues with it overhanging. It's not too big. It's not too small. So I think depending on what your wrist size is, it's going to fit your wrist just fine, regardless. So let me pop this off, and we'll show you what the tritium looks like in the dark, and then we'll go back over and give you my final reviews. Okay, if you've had any experience with tritium, you're going to know that the tritium is not a super bright, glowing radioactive material. You're not going to get cancer from it or anything like that. It's just the type of gas. I can't remember the tritium gas. I think it's what I say, tritium gas in there in those tubes. They last anywhere from 10 to 25 years. And then you can send it back to Marathon for reconditioning, and they will put new tubes on there. They probably just put a whole new movement in there in a dial and not actually replace the tubes. But you can send it back to Marathon, and they will change them out. You can see the tubes are green, and in the 12 o'clock, it has a orange one. So you always know, in regards to the direction of the watch at nighttime, which way is going to be the 12, and then you can see the little tritium tube there in the pip. The compass glows. It actually glows brighter than the tritium, but unlike the tritium, this will fade over time with it because it loses the light as the evening goes on, and then it'll be unseeable. But even the inside glows too, the east northwest, so you can read the compass at night also. But that is what the tritium looks like. I know it doesn't show as well on the camera, but it is in complete darkness or outside light. It shows up plenty enough that you can see it just fine, and there is absolutely no issues with that tritium. So let's get the lights back on, and let's go back over to the studio and give you my final reviews on the Marathon Navigator for the IDF 217 Special Forces Unit. All right, well, there you go. There's a look at the Navigator made specifically for the IDF Special Forces Unit 217. I think overall, I think it's a fantastic watch. I think it's a really cool watch. Strictly from a military horology standpoint, I think it's an awesome watch. As I said earlier, Marathon is created and purpose built for military use, and that's where it started. Now it's branched out into the first responder community and law enforcement community. And you don't have to be in any of those to wear the watches. You just have to have that like and that desire. You like that style of watch. You kind of like that world. You like those things, all things military, that kind of stuff. They're rugged. They're solid. They're a good beater. They just can take a beating and keep on going. As far as Marathon watches are concerned, as far as price point, these are about a third of what you would spend on a Marathon GSAR, the one I did a review on earlier, and I'll put that review down in the comments. So you're not going to be spending a ton of money. They're sub 500, so you're going to be well affordable for a lot of the world, regardless of where you fall on the political spectrum of what's going on over in the Middle East now with Israel and Hamas war. Being in the military, when you're in the military, if you've been in the military, you're apolitical. You don't have a political opinion on anything while you're in uniform. That's just part of being in the military. Your job is to do what civilian leadership tells you to do, and then you save the politics for when you get out. So on my channel, I'm going to stay apolitical on this one. But if you know my background and you know what to do, you kind of know a little bit about me. But we're going to stay political on this one. This is not a political channel. So this is in no way, condoning anything other than this is an awesome watch. I think the IDF is an awesome military, and this is a great watch for them considering what they're going through and what they're dealing with. I think this is a really cool watch that's get issued to that unit. I know that this one, the Navigator, I don't know if the Air Force still issues those or not. I know at one point the marathons were issued, were available to U.S. military, being issued, but I don't think those are being issued in there. They might be issued to the Canadian military. I do not know, but you will definitely see this watch and the GSAR in the military community. You'll see Rolex when I talk about Rolex and Tudor, people say, "Really in the military? Come on, you guys." When you get into the special ops community, when you get around the SF guys, Delta guys, Special Forces, Navy SEALs, in that realm, you're going to see Tudor, you're going to see Rolex. It's kind of like their rite of passage when they make their first deployment or a couple deployments. They buy a Rolex. Um, I didn't buy a Rolex with all my deployments. Spent some time with those guys in Afghanistan. We did our own thing, but we shared a base with them. But I didn't buy a Rolex or a Tudor. Tudor's on my list though. So yeah, you will see those in certain communities. You'll see the G-Shock in a lot of the combat arms, be it tanks, infantry, artillery, special forces, PJs, Coast Guard, their shipboarding units, their law enforcement units. So you'll see those in the G-Shocks. You'll see the Seikos a lot in a lot of worlds. You'll see the citizen watches. So when you're around the military, check out and see what they got on. I'm always curious when I'm on base and stuff, and I'm talking to guys. I'm always checking out, seeing what they're wearing. It seems like the younger generation is going towards the G-Shock. But when you talk to them, you start to educate them. All of a sudden they start looking at other watches because no one ever really tells them. So hopefully you learned something interesting about Marathon and the Navigator, and this piqued your interest. Go check them out. I have no affiliation with Marathon. I get nothing from Marathon. I get no sponsors. I had to buy that one with my own money, my own dime, and I love that watch and I wear it. But I only bought the Navigator because of that one. I like the color, I like the horology, I like the history of it, I like the uniqueness of it from the other Navigators. I never really liked the other Navigators, but I do have the Marathon GSAR and I absolutely love that watch. So hey, thank you for watching. We appreciate it here. Please click that subscribe button, give us that thumbs up so we can do that algorithm game. And we keep on growing. We appreciate it. We got some great reviews coming. Like I said, we're going to be reviewing that Arnie here pretty soon. We've got some other stuff from Spinnaker and some other great ones. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You all have a great weekend. You all stay safe. Be kind, everybody. We live in a world that just seems so polarized. Let's just be kind to each other and just treat each other with respect. How we treat others is how you'd want to be treated. And get to know people before we judge people. That's all I'm going to say in the political scene is, we need to come more together than be more divisive. So in the watch community, let's support each other. Let's support other channels. Without that, you all stay safe. Have a great weekend. And we'll talk to you next week. I'm diving into watches, and I'm out.